Hey guys, I'm Alexa with Strategic Placement Group. Welcome back to the SPG podcast. I am here with my co-host Stan. How are you doing today?
I am good. How are you?
I am good. Just been jamming in to the music. I keep trying to get you to do the head nod with me thing, and you just kind of look at me like I'm, no, not a Night of the Roxbury fan. I guess they turn sideways. But anyway, we are here to talk to you today about platforms for your marketing. Now, we've discussed this before, and a lot of people, I'm sure, hear the term platforms and automatically go to social media. But we're not just talking about social media today, are we?
No, we are not.
So let's help the people understand. So when it comes to platforms, this is really an old term that, as you were educating me earlier, that has been extended over. So social media is just another media platform, essentially.
Essentially, you could look at it like that. You can interchange the word platform with medium in a sense, television, radio, digital, yes, social media, of course, newspaper, all those are different choices of medium to get your message out there, or a platform that you can use to extend your message or offer.
I think I also call them media vendors.
For us, they are, yeah.
Right. So that's kind of how I refer to them. But so that platform has really just, because I feel like it's just kind of taken over for social media because social media has become so popular in the last few years.
Yeah. And terminologies have been, it seems like people are trying to change terminologies that existed for a long time and make it their own for 2021.
Right. Well, because
confusing.
It's the it thing. So it kind of makes you feel like you're that trendy,
Yeah, no, this stuff's been around a long time, guys. You 25-year-olds. Quit trying to reinvent stuff here. We've had this for years.
Yeah, so we do know what we're talking about, though. So when you're talking about marketing on multiple media platforms,
yes,
as a small business owner, what is the best way to go about doing that? And what exactly does that mean? I guess let's take it back to that.
When its basic form is making sure that your message itself is going to the same audience, whatever your demographic of choice is for your business, that however many of these platforms or mediums that you choose, that your message is being consistent to the right audience, the same audience. That ensures that you're not wasting your ad dollars incorrectly targeting a group that may not be profitable for you.
Right. So it's like the biggest bang for your buck.
Could be called that, yeah.
Which is really important as small business owners because, it takes a lot of work to make that money. We do not want to waste that money.
No, we don't.
So how do we tell people how to do that? I mean, let's say I'm a small business owner. I've just opened my business. I want to do a grand opening. Let's give an example of how do you do that?
Well, I mean, first, I guess you got to also talk about what causes problems to begin with.
Okay.
And number one problem for a new business owner is may or may not have a deep understanding or grasp of the marketing space as a whole. There's a big learning curve there.
Yes, there is.
There's a large learning curve. And the other part of it is the media vendors themselves. And don't send me all the hate mail, guys and ladies, because, I like some of you.
Yeah. No, we like our media vendors, but it's, listen,
some of you.
But it can get complicated because when you have a new business, I mean, these are people that work in sales, and they're coming to tell you about
and they've got a job to do.
They do.
They've got a job to do, and they work hard at their job. And their job at the end of the day is to represent their company.
Absolutely.
And part of that representation is to let you know that they have the best thing since sliced bread. Mm-hmm. And everybody that comes to you has the best thing in the world.
And it helps
there's some exceptions.
Sometimes they bring cookies.
Well, there's some exceptions to that. Some reps are up enough to know that they've got a good product, but it's not the end all.
Okay.
But by and large, you get hit with people knocking on the door all the time, especially a new business that just opened your doors. Give it a week, you're going to be flooded.
Okay.
Go on TV once on any station, just pick. And next week, you're going to get twice as many because it's every other rep that saw your commercial, and now they want a piece of that action too.
That's right.
But so part of it is an educational learning curve for the business owner. The other part is you're constantly being bombarded, with the best thing in the world. Right?
Okay.
It doesn't matter what you're talking about. They all have the best thing in the world. So you got to decipher all that, figure out what you think is going to be best for you, and go from there. So that's kind of some of the problems that you're going to face. And especially starting a new business or not even starting, just having one period, it takes a lot of time.
Right. But I do think it's important for when you're starting that business, a lot of people just think, I can do I can do an ad campaign in social media by myself, and that's really the only place I need to be right now. So what is the benefit of being on multiple media platforms?
Well, I mean, being able to get your message out cohesively across multiple forms is never a bad idea.
Right.
I mean, social media is great, but you're not going to hit everybody there.
Right.
TV's good, not going to hit everybody there. To its extent, radio still has a place as well.
Absolutely, I would agree.
So, I mean, each of them have a part to play. You can send me the hate mail in the newspaper if you want. We haven't bought a newspaper ad in over 5 years. So
that is true.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. But the point is that multiple forms of media, multiple platforms that exist, can all work well if they work together. And I think that's the key we need to touch on today, is getting them to work together.
Absolutely. So as a small business owner, how do we tell people at home, how do you make those work together? Because essentially these are 3 different platforms with 3 different reps.
At least 3, yeah.
Yeah, in this example, let's say. Sure. And those reps aren't going to talk together to make sure they're giving you the best bang for your buck. So as a business owner, you really have to make sure you're doing that for yourself. So how do we help people do that?
Well, in more of a traditional media standpoint, it's not too hard. Most TV, cable, radio, they use Nielsen ratings or Arbitron or a couple of other companies out there that when they bring you the schedule, make sure they're bringing you a schedule that has your demographic breakdown.
Okay.
You know, it's showing you how many spots you're airing, what the demographic is at, what's our reach, what's our frequency, how many rating points are we getting out of this deal. So you get an idea of how your dollars are being distributed for that particular station or platform.
Okay.
Now, so that's, say a broadcast station. Cable company will have the same kind of numbers. They can provide you that. Radio will have some listenership numbers and so forth. You can apply that. And when you get those 3 schedules, you look at them and you say, okay, well, that's the right demographic. That's the right demographic. That's the right one. Okay, now I know what they're providing me is correct on paper. And as a business owner, that's about as far as you're going to be able to take that.
Okay.
Unless you're in the business of marketing.
Right, because it gets complicated.
Past that traditional set, it becomes very complicated, yes. Now, trying to match those variables to what's available, say, in a social media platform campaign or the rest of the digital world,
right,
or a display campaign or connected TV or what have you.
Because social media isn't the only thing.
Yeah, when we talked about digital campaigns in another video.
Absolutely.
It can get very in-depth, and we pretty much just scratched the surface, I think, on that one. So the traditional side isn't that hard to do, but you got to make sure that what those reps are bringing you is consistent across the board. A lot of times we see that it's not. Sometimes the station rep will be pushing a certain package of some kind.
Or deal at the time, sure.
And that may or may not be to your audience that you really need.
Right. So it's important to think about those 2 things too.
Sure.
Just because it might meet your budget, it's not going to necessarily meet your ending goals.
Right. Yeah. I mean, somebody brings you a schedule and says, okay, your budget is X. Look at all these spots I can give you for that much dollars. That's great. Well, maybe it is, maybe it's not. Right. So the question is, well, that's wonderful, but who's seeing this?
Right.
Where, what's the target audience?
Right.
Because that's the ultimate question you have to ask is that you could spend, X number of dollars and have all the spots in the world, but if it doesn't go to the right audience, what good is it?
Right. That makes sense. Because again, you're not getting that bang for your buck.
And you're not.
What's the point? So, well, let's touch a little bit on creating that joint message. I mean, we were talking about how, you have to talk to several different vendors and you've got options into looking at those demographic and figuring out your target audience and those schedules. But as far as the creative on that, how does
that's a whole nother problem. Absolutely it does. And that's kind of a whole nother side of the coin is, a rep will bring you a schedule to an audience. Hopefully it's an audience that you said you needed, and great. And they may bring you a campaign idea, a message idea, a creative thought.
Okay.
I like that. Okay, well then next rep comes in the next day with a different schedule. Hopefully it's to the same audience. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. And then they have an idea for an ad campaign. And what we see a lot of is business owners kind of cave a little bit. I'm sorry, you kind of do.
Well, and I don't even know that it's caving.
Well,
sometimes
not caving.
you
it's
don't
just
have
easier.
time.
Right. But if they're going to say, hey, if you'll sign this schedule with us for the next 3 months, we'll do your commercial for free.
Yes.
Well, then this company comes over and says, hey, the same thing. And believe it or not, we see numerous times where business owners will have 2 different commercials running
with
from 2 different
messages.
TV stations with 2 different messages.
Sure.
Right. So pick one, just pick one and use it. So that's kind of the other side of that coin. Yes, the schedule itself needs to speak to the same audience, no matter where it's placed, whether it's television, radio, online, whatever, has to be consistent. But your message also has to have that consistency. Mm-hmm. And so that brings us into going from a traditional standpoint to the digital space. Whoever is creating your television ad.
Okay.
Right, in this is 2021.
Yes.
If they're creating a television ad, they better, by God, know how to create a digital display ad campaign off of that.
Right.
And if they don't know how to create display ads,
you need to go somewhere else.
That's
right.
Right. So the best place to have your display ads created is by the same person who's created the video. Why? Because they have all the assets that are needed from that video.
Right.
They can match your display ads to the video.
Right.
Right. So now you have different types of medium that you're running. Traditional TV, maybe some digital pre-roll video at the same time, using the same format. Great. But they've also created your display campaigns that have the same graphic assets.
Right.
So now you have the same look and feel across the board.
That consistency.
And it honestly, it drives me nuts to see how many times we run into it that doesn't happen.
Right.
Right. It's just somebody, I had so-and-so, they said they would create these display campaigns, or somebody in their company knew how to make a banner ad.
Right. And then they don't match.
Nothing matches.
So it doesn't look. So
when you have
that done, whoever does your video, could they do your voiceover as well to send for your radio spot?
They should.
Oh.
Now they may have to. They may, if you're at a TV company, and their job is to create the TV ad. Mm-hmm. Now most television companies in this day and time, cable included, have a digital product they want to sell you.
Right.
So if you ask them to make your digital ads, they're going to want to buy for their digital product.
Sure.
So you have to decide, is that the right choice to make or not? Assume for a moment it is, then yes, they should make that. Now, since they've created all of that stuff, they already have the voice because they used it on
the TV
TV spot.
Right.
You should ask them to create and cut the audio you need for the radio spot. Now, at that point, most TV companies, if they're willing to do that, are probably going to charge you for that because they're not getting to use that.
Right.
Right.
Well, that kind of makes sense.
It makes sense. And I think that's okay. A reasonable amount of money. If it takes them a couple hours to do it, $150, they may want to charge you $500. It's going to be all over the board. It's up to you to be able to negotiate that. But the bottom line is you have your production done in one place.
Right. Okay.
So that's key to making sure that your message is consistent across the board. You've got the same look, feel, sound, audio, video, everything's good.
Right.
It all matches.
And it makes sense because if I'm driving down the road and I hear that voice, with that message, and then I go home and maybe I turn on the news and it's on a broadcast station, and then there's that message again, my brain is recognizing that voice, and now I've got a visual to go with the voice. And
then you're online later and you see the banner ad pop up with the same look and feel.
That's right, because it matched. It now
Everything matches.
and all of a sudden I'm recognizing it, going, maybe I should check this out.
So you've now used 4 different platforms in that example to create your frequency.
Right.
Right. So if you heard it on the radio, saw it on TV, watched it on broadcast news, watched it on cable channels, saw it online, you have 4 different touch points right there. But if they're all the exact same message, you just got a frequency of 4.
Yeah.
Nice. That's what you want.
Absolutely.
With the same message.
Right.
You're building that real estate in the mind of your potential customer. Boom, there it is. And that's how it's supposed to work.
I love that term, building the real estate in that client's mind.
I've been using that for like a decade. I noticed Chad just stole the crap out of that a few weeks ago in a video.
I like to think of it as, maybe he was complimenting, what does they say?
Trying to take ownership
Copying is the biggest form of flattery. Isn't that that's what my mother used to tell me? Imitation. Thank you. No, that's what she told me. Imitation is the biggest form of flattery. So maybe he's just trying to flatter you.
He could. So with all this, though, I mean, there's things business owners, I think, just to be aware of.
Right.
Make sure your demographic is consistent across the board, no matter what you're doing. Make sure the creative is consistent
Same
across
message.
the board.
Absolutely.
I've often said that you can have the best schedule in the world, going to the right people. Awesome.
Right.
It will do you absolutely zero good if your creative sucks.
That is true.
Vice versa, you could have the best creative in the world. And if your schedule's not going to the right people, you just wasted money there too.
That's right. And we're not about wasting money here.
You got to work it together.
At all. So I feel like this was a really good stopping point.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. And if this sounds complicated to you,
you could hire
an advertising agency. And we just happen to have one.
With internal production, so it's all done in one house.
Yes, and it will all look the same across the board.
Every time.
And we will look at those schedules for you so you don't have to, so you can spend the time on your business, which is really what you want to do anyway.
Shameless.
But I loved it. I thank you very much. I know this takes time out of your day, and you're crazy busy, as we all are, and I'm selfish because I just get to spend a little extra time with you, but I feel like this was really helpful to helping people understand, even though we added our shameless plug. So we hope this has been helpful. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Make sure to really talk to those media reps and let them know what it is you want, and look at those schedules. And if you are struggling with that, we welcome you to call us. So thanks so much for the time today. And as we always say,
until next time.